Hi, I'm Wanda with Jimmy Branch Homestead, and today is a nasty, stormy day outside. So once I finished my outdoor chores, taking care of my chickens, I decided to do a project indoors. And today I am going to be making broccoli cheese soup. Now I have a pretty, I think it's the biggest one you can get, slow cooker. If you do not have this big a slow cooker, you can use a large pot on the stove. You just have to watch it much closer. You can use an Instant Pot if you have a large enough one of that, or you can cut the recipe in half or thirds. Even though there is only 2 of us, I like to make this nice big crock pot full, because then I freeze it in individual serving sizes or pint sizes or quart sizes. I think I usually freeze this in quart sizes because my husband and I both enjoy it. So we take out a quart, thaw it out, warm it up, and there's our hearty lunch. So I start off with the big bag of broccoli florets. I use the Bird's Eye. It is 3 pounds, 4 ounces. And I've already dumped that into my crock pot. As you can see, it pretty much filled it up, but it will cook down. And as I start adding liquids and stuff, once it thaws out, it's gonna drop in size. Now to that I am going to add 2 to 3 quarts of chicken broth. Now I make my own homemade chicken bone broth, so I have them in the pint sizes. So 4 of these will make 2 quarts. So I'm going to start off with that. And I want to get all that goodness out of the bottom that's cooked out of that bone broth. You can already kind of see it shrinking down a little as I'm dumping the liquids on it. Now this is darker, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just bone broth that I cooked a little longer. It's not burnt tasting or anything like that. Might have had more onions or something like that in it too. Of course, you can use store-bought, so don't let that keep you from making this delicious soup. And next it calls for 1 medium onion. This is my recipe that I made up. I did research on a lot of different recipes and then I made up my own. I don't have an onion. I realized I'm out, but I still wanted to make this. So I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons of dried onion. And next it would be 4 carrots, and I use some medium to, medium large carrots. I just chunked them up first. Now I have a salad shooter. I don't even know if they make these anymore, but I absolutely love this. So you can just shred it on a hand shredder if you have it, but this is the type of shredder I have. I can't even find my hand shredder. I'm not sure what happened to it. So I put a few chunks at a time, and it is going to be noisy when I turn this on, so I apologize in advance for that. Kind of fill up the little hopper here. And as I turn it on, I'm going to push down on the hopper and just help push it out. Where's my... So much faster and easier. Don't have to worry about getting your hands in the grater. Now all this will be blended up later once it's cooked. And I'll leave some chunks in it too, but I don't want this big of chunks. That's all there is to that. And I just kind of like to take it apart and knock off what I can, because there's always a few more shreds in it. Close enough. Now to that we're going to add cream of celery soup. Now if you've been watching my videos since the beginning, you know that I can my own homemade cream of celery soup. And let me tell you, this tastes so much more like celery soup than the celery soup you buy in the store. So if you haven't seen that video and you like to home can, check that out in the canning playlist. So again, I usually use 4 10-ounce cans. These are 16-ounce jars. So I'm going to start off with probably 3 of these. It's okay if you have a little more. It's not going to hurt anything. Let me grab a spatula here. Now this is a great make-ahead thing. You could always mix this up in your slow cooker and put it in the refrigerator overnight if you work, and then put it on slow or medium while you're at work. And then just add the cheeses when you get home. It's the last to add anyway. This smells so good. And it's a real easy thing to make. I used to be intimidated by a lot of those kind of things, thinking they'd be so difficult, and they're really not. So, and I use a lot of cream of celery soups in my cooking. And sometimes I just eat it like soup because I like it. And I'm going to leave one more out here that I can always add if I feel like I need it. This will result in a little bit more than what I typically use, but that's okay. We're getting pretty full here. It's going to be fun stirring this up. I should have probably stirred up some before I added the soup, but that's all right. Okay, now I'm going to add the seasonings. And I'm just going to add a half a teaspoon of each of these. I'd always rather put less. Less is better. Because if you put too much, you can't take it out. But you can always add to it. So I put this amount to start. And then when the soup is finished and I taste it, if I think it needs more, then I add a little more of whatever I think it needs. So I'm doing a half a teaspoon of pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of table salt. And I kind of spread it around so it's not all in one spot. Makes it a little easier to mix throughout. And I use 1/2 teaspoon of seasoned salt. You can use any of your favorite seasoned salt. I like the Lawry seasoned salt because it does not have any MSG. And I don't do well with MSG. So we're going to use 1/2 teaspoon of that. But you can use Johnny's salt or, like I said, whatever your favorite seasoning salt is. I'm going to mix this in. Bringing up the broccoli from below. And as you can see, now with everything added, it's not even as full as it was with the broccoli when I first started. This is going to be so yummy. It smells smells so good already. This is Wade's favorite soup. I don't know why, I just don't make it a lot, but, well, I don't always have that big a bag of broccoli on hand, and like I said, I've made it with lesser and stuff, and I like my broccoli cheese soup to taste like broccoli cheese soup. Okay, that's mixed in pretty well. How fitting. My spoon rest says soup's on. Okay, we're just gonna clean that rim up a tad so I don't smear it all over the lid. And now I'm gonna put this on high for 4 hours, which will be just in time for our dinner. So we are having chicken for dinner, and I'm going to have this as a side dish, and then the remainder I will cool and I will put in freezer containers in the freezer. Okay, I'll see you back here shortly. Okay, it's been not quite 4 hours. It looks like it's pretty well cooked down. So I'm going to go ahead and use my immersion blender. This is a wonderful, wonderful tool, and it will help to get most of it out of there, or blend it up, but I do want to leave some chunks in there. You just don't want florets, you know, that big. You can kind of feel when you hit them. I think I pretty well got the biggest chunks out of there. Okay, so I'm just going to keep letting this cook down for a few more minutes, and then I'll be back and we'll add the remaining ingredients. Okay, I apologize for the spattering noise in the background. I am frying chicken for dinner. All the way down. This new stove, that's on low and it's still a big flame, so we don't really like that part, but that's just way too high for chicken. I think I'll put it on a smaller burner. Yeah, maybe that'll work a little better. So on the Velveeta, I just cut it in chunks like this, like half-inch slices or so, and then just drop it in the soup. And I may end up having to dump this into my canner. I'm making a really big batch this time, so, or something bigger just to stir all the cheese into. I do still have this on, so it's melting the cheese. And this will thicken it up a lot. You might have felt like it was way too thin when you were immersion blending it, or if you don't have an immersion blender, you can always use a potato masher or something like that, or you can slightly let it cool and put it in a food processor in smaller batches. This is about the only thing I really use Velveeta cheese for. I know when we was growing up, sometimes we used it for grilled cheese sandwiches, and Mom used it for mac and cheese. If you're older like me, you might remember the free cheese we used to get from the government. That was the best cheese. It wasn't Velveeta, but it was a really good American cheese. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to fit that other block into this pot. So we're going to stir this up and get these dissolved. And you just very gently stir it in. I can even just let it sit in here for a little bit. Oh, it smells so good. There's a chunk of broccoli, but break it a little bit smaller. Ooh, there's another big chunk of broccoli. That was a whole big floret. I have to wash my knife before I do the other block of cheese. You might be able to see here, hopefully, it's starting to melt that cheese pretty good. And it's okay just to leave it sitting here for a few minutes and then come back and keep stirring it some more. You can really see the steam coming off here when I stir it, so you know it's hot enough to melt that cheese. I've tried recipes that had a lot less broccoli in it, and neither one of us cared for it as much. So I just kind of went through recipes and made up my own. We like a lot of broccoli in it because we really want it to have the broccoli and cheese flavor. The cheese is about the same as what I found in a lot of other recipes per pound. But like I said, for a big pot, we wanted a lot more broccoli in it for the flavor. Now that block is mostly dissolved. It's got a few little chunks here coming up. You can see my soup's turning more yellow in color than it was. I'm going to go ahead and wash my knife and cut up some more cheese, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I have another whole block of cheese here to go in, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and stir in 4 cups of shredded cheese. And like I said, I may have to transfer this, it looks like I am, to a larger pot. I was hoping to not have to do that, just because I hate dirtying more dishes. You can tell it's really melting the cheese. And it thickens up the soup too, the more cheese you add. So I'm not going to show transferring the pot into another bigger thick container, but at this point is when you would check and see if you need to add any seasonings When I freeze it and stuff, a lot of times I'll just add seasonings as I'm heating it up to serve. If I want any more seasoning. I wish I could figure out a way to can it and have it taste the same, but I don't feel comfortable canning this soup, so it is the one soup that I do put in my freezer. All my other soups, I home can them. If that's something you're interested in, you haven't seen them, go back and check out my canning playlist. So I am going to add this other block of cheese. I'm just going to do it off camera. Okay, so those of you that know me know I like pushing the limits. I put that other entire block of cheese in the slow cooker, and it is full to the top rim. So I couldn't put the lid on it, otherwise it would squish it out all over the counter. But once you put the cheese in it, you want to make sure that you keep stirring it until it thoroughly melts. And this is mostly melted. You can see how nice and yellow. I'll maybe bring you even a little bit closer. You can see how nice and yellow the soup is. It truly is a cheesy broccoli soup. And especially in the winter, we just really love this soup. It's kind of a cold weather soup to us. It's a very rich soup with all the cheese in it. And watch my spoon pop up and out of there. Okay, I just did a taste test, and I definitely needed to add more salt and pepper. I use the seasoned salt and pepper. Like I said, I won't over-season this soup because I want to make sure I can always add to it when I'm taking it out for lunches. That way, if I over-season a batch, it's only a pot full instead of the whole batch. Or a quart. Well, it's dinner time, and I am anxious to eat my broccoli cheese soup. It's very cheesy. So good. I hope you try it. So if you're enjoying this type of video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share our videos on your social media. It's the best way you can help our channel to grow. Thank you so much for watching Jimmy Branch Homestead. Take care, and God bless.